Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting episode of Elets Innovation Talk. I'm Kaanchi Chawla, Senior Sub Editor at Elets Technomedia, India's leading and largest B2B multimedia platform, proudly celebrating 22 years of excellence. For over 2 decades, Elite Technomedia has been at the forefront of innovation, driving transformative summits and thought leaderships across governance, healthcare, education, and banking and finance sectors. And Elet's Innovation Talk is our signature series where we engage with trailblazing leaders shaping the future of their industries. And today, we are honored to host a visionary leader whose work is empowering educators and learners across Asia Pacific and Japan with the skills to thrive in a technology driven future. So please help me in welcoming Damian Haas, Senior Director, Oracle Academy, Asia Pacific and Japan. So welcome to the Innovation Talk, Damian.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here. I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
So Damian brings with him over 18 years of experience in sales, marketing, and business development within the global information technology industry, having worked with both Fortune 500 companies and innovative SMEs. His expertise spans market growth, business development, and strategic partnerships across diverse regions, including Australia, New Zealand, and international markets. Before joining the private sectors, he had an illustrious 20-year career as an officer in Australian Army. At Oracle Academy, he leads the Asia Pacific and Japan team, driving regional outreach, marketing, and member service to empower academic institutions, educators, and students. His role involves close collaboration with senior leadership across Oracle and with global partners, ensuring that learners gain access to world class curriculum, cutting edge technology, and skills for the digital economy. So, talking about Oracle Academy, so Oracle Academy is Oracle's global philanthropic education program dedicated to advancing computing education worldwide. Offering free curriculum, software, cloud access, and professional development resources, it equips educators to prepare students for careers in technology. From database and Java programming to AI, cloud, and data science, Oracle Academy bridges the gap between academic learning and industry needs. With a mission to inspire innovation, promote diversity, and expand knowledge, it reaches millions of students in more than 120 countries, enabling the next generation of problem solvers and innovators. So, I once again welcome you, Damian, to the Innovation Talk series.
Thank you.
And starting with my first question. So, looking back at your diverse and extensive career, where do you see Oracle Academy fitting in, and what makes this mission personally meaningful to you?
Thank you. It's a great question, and appreciate the introduction. I joined the technology industry after my term in the Australian Department of Defence, and very soon became involved in an emerging area of technology around learning technologies. That was some 25 years ago, in fact, and that involved the earliest learning platforms that people nowadays are very familiar with, learning management systems, and of course the e-learning offerings and today's remarkable range of virtual and online solutions that we come across. And of course, those solutions over the last 25 years have been enabled by the growing availability of broadband, stable, strong broadband, and the ability for data to transfer globally very easily. Now, at the moment, in fact, we have access to so much learning. It is arguably a very complex task to actually sort the useful from the perhaps not so useful. Everything from Google to all of the providers out there. There's so much learning that's available to us on the internet. But what I have observed over time in those 25 years, which has involved working with educators and education institutions, is that the fundamentals of teaching and learning have not changed. and that the role of the accredited education institution with its professional educators and expertise in their respective disciplines, these relationships haven't changed. I had a wonderful experience, I think, that was very profound for me and impact as I continued on this journey of working with learning technologies and education professionals. And it happened around 2018. I recall it was pre-pandemic. And I had the pleasure of working and visiting with several engineering colleges in India, in fact, in Hyderabad, in Telangana. And this was arranged by one of our partners in India, the Telangana Skills and Knowledge Organisation, a very effective organisation there. After meeting with a range of academic staff at those engineering colleges, we then moved to a large auditorium which was filled with, I would say, hundreds, if not 1,000 students. And I was struck through that interaction very much by their youthful exuberance and enthusiasm. But what most came to me, what was most reflected to me, was the sincere trust. And I use that word very, very meaningfully. The trust that they were placing in their university and the academic staff of that university, that they as students would be provided with a sound education that would help prepare them for the real world and the knowledge and skills that they would require. I really felt that interaction as I, as an industry representative, got to talk with them. Now, this was quite profound for me, and I believe has really emphasized the responsibility that I have as an industry representative, but also of the educators, the academics that we were dealing with. Now, whilst the students today can access a wide range of learning and skills development found via many resources on the internet, as I mentioned, it is really, I believe, the fundamental grounding in their chosen discipline, the education that they receive, not the training that provides them with the foundations. It's the education. And that education does provide the foundation to meet the rapidly changing environment we know they will meet. The students that were studying cloud 4 years ago when they started their degree, by the time they finished, they were actually starting to talk about artificial intelligence. In that period of just a degree, how much change there has been. As was said by an academic, a celebrated academic at Harvard University late last century, a gentleman called B.F. Skinner. And I quote, he says, "Education is what survives when what has been learned has been forgotten." End of quote. Education is what survives when what has been learned has been forgotten. This, I think, is the call to action for academia and indeed industry, to create computing education that helps bridge students to industry and prepares them for the foundational knowledge that gives them the confidence to embrace their future careers. That, I think, is a summary of what I've learned over the last 25 years and why I'm keen to pursue what Oracle Academy does in working with education institutions.
Okay. So, Damian, how wide is Oracle Global's, Oracle Academy's global reach basically, and what role does India play in your strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. As you mentioned at the outset, this is Oracle's global philanthropic education program. So we are part of the Oracle Corporation, and we do operate globally. And as you mentioned, we support education institutions, primarily higher education, I will admit, but we do venture into vocational and high school education as well. Importantly, our work is working with educators, as you said in the outset, to advance computing education. That's our mission. We want to help education institutions build the best degree diploma courses possible. And obviously, we offer what's relevant from Oracle. We can't be all things to all people. Now, the program supports educators and, of course, in turn, their students with a range of offerings and benefits that can be integrated into the degree diploma courses of those universities or colleges, polytechnics, engineering colleges, etc. And that helps the student gain knowledge and experience in in-demand technologies with the latest computing and information technology that's out there. So it's really the marriage of industry with university, bringing the latest technology that we bring to the academics to help integrate into their courses. Now, we are global. We're in more than 120 countries. In fact, I think we're pushing towards 140. So we're as big as the UN, if you like. We've got some 14,000 institutions worldwide. And that represents, nigh on 30,000 educators globally. In India alone, we have over 1,000 institutions in India. And that's working to grow that each year. And in the last year, we had 100 new universities joining, and we look to grow that presence as we go from the main universities in the cities right through to the rural institutions. In India, in fact, we have an average of over 3 educators per institution. And that's quite good, because it means that we're not just talking to one particular part of the university. We're across different academic endeavors at that university. And I can talk more about that later. India itself employs some 50,000 people for Oracle, or rather, I should say, in India, Oracle employs 50,000 people across India. And if you add to that the people who are working for Oracle partners, whether that's tier 1 partners like Accenture, right through to the smaller medium businesses in India, that's a lot of people being employed. And then if you add to that all of the customers that Oracle has in India who are using Oracle technologies, that's a very big footprint. It's a big footprint contributing to India's economy and society. And of course, India is a major economy in our region, and it has a relatively very large population compared to countries like Australia, where I sit. And that large population uniquely is actually very young, contrasting with many nations in our region, indeed globally, whilst we have mature economies that have, in fact, an aging population dilemma by and large. India, not so. It has a very young population. And it's proven itself also to be a nation of entrepreneurs and very successful business people, not just in India, globally. And we can see that talent has been taken up by businesses and corporations across the globe. And may I say, particularly in high-tech industries like information technology. So for us, I'm pleased to say India is a major part of our strategy to support the advancement of computing education, and it has to be.
Okay. So, what are your observations on the current state of higher education in India, and how can, Oracle Academy help shape its future?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, we are taking time to connect with the dynamics of education in India, and such a large country with such a large infrastructure, and obviously, as I mentioned, large population. India's higher education system is as vast as its land and its population, and it's also very ambitious. There are millions of students across thousands of institutions. In countries like Australia, we talk in tens of institutions. In India, we're talking thousands of institutions, thousands of universities. There is, I think, a clear momentum toward modernization across those institutions, as you would imagine. And with the growing interest in the information technology and high tech and the digital tools that we talk about, like artificial intelligence, cloud, and all of those skills that are needed to align to industry's needs. So that modernisation is a very real dynamic we see. And I think the government's responses that we see from various agencies at the federal or national level and down to the state level are really addressing that modernisation. And it's great to be a part of that. Challenges do exist, of course. We do see that faculty are often challenged with a lack of access to ongoing skills development. Curriculum aren't always in sync with real-world technologies. They're a bit behind. And many graduates of those institutions still face education skills gaps when entering the workforce. That's why our responsibility at Oracle Academy, and with our colleagues and other major industry players, are committed to helping bridge this divide by providing no-cost access to industry-relevant curriculum. And as we said, enabling the educators, helping them upskill so they're delivering the sorts of programs. And of course, collaborating with bodies like state governments, ministries of education, your state-led initiatives, and other non-government organisations. We are working with them to build a more agile, if you like, a more future-ready ecosystem. And it is a big task in India. It's it's a very significant span of challenge. But our goal, as we've said, is to empower institutions across the country. And that's not just at the top tier universities. We're talking right across the spectrum. And to a large degree, we're working state by state to get that reach. And we're having that with some success. One organisation that we work very closely with is the ICT Academy, which is based in Tamil Nadu. And they have a series of conferences annually, multiple conferences that they define as their bridge conferences. And the bridge conference is all about bridging the gap between academia and industry. And it's really a great example of what India is doing generally, because there are other organisations like ICT Academy. I mentioned the Telangana Skills and Knowledge organisation before. There are many organisations who are looking to help academia understand what industry is doing and helping industry work with academia to help them build the sorts of fundamental courses that are needed for students to gain the knowledge they need when they graduate. I hope that goes some way to answering that global reach question. Yeah.
Damian, what emerging technologies or skills do you believe students should focus on to stay ahead, in coming years? And with technologies like cloud and AI, they are becoming the mainstream these days. So how is your organization supporting institutions in preparing students with future-ready skills in these areas?
That's a good question, and I think a very important consideration, I believe. And as I was just discussing, really goes to the heart of the relationship between academia and industry. There is no doubt that the information technology industry that I'm in has been developing rapidly. And whilst each new technology is generally built on the previous, there have been significant leaps in the last decades, of course. And in recent years, that acceleration has certainly not slowed and doesn't look like it's going to slow. As I mentioned a few years ago, the notion of cloud technologies even was really quite immature. People talked about the cloud. But nowadays, it's ubiquitous. And we have seen quite an existential race among industry heavyweights to actually position themselves as the leader in cloud solutions. Now, whilst the notion of AI has been around for many years, it is really only in recent years that it's become such a mainstream topic. And it's fair to say the speed at which we are seeing artificial intelligence impact our lives is just really, truly amazing. And it's going to continue to be so, I believe. So to that end, it is clear that knowledge and understanding of those technologies cloud, artificial intelligence is going to be fundamental for people entering not just the information technology industry, but across all industry verticals, whether that's government, manufacturing, retail, entertainment, etc., etc. But as I said earlier, these new technologies are really developments that are built on long developed technologies. All new technology is really based on its precursor. Two notable relevant examples, of course, being programming. When we're talking about AI, we're really talking about coding and very large models, right? But people understand the notions around programming, which of course has been around for a long time. And of course, the principles around data management, whether that's simple database design right through to data analytics and the whole science around the management of data. So with all of these changes, students of computer science and information technology require foundational knowledge in these areas. And that's largely what Oracle Academy is looking to do, to work with educators, to help them identify what are those foundational knowledge areas that help prepare students. And as I said, it's the education that stands when people have forgotten what they've learned, but the education is there, and it's that fundamental knowledge that's available. So we're providing educators with resources to be used in their degree diploma courses. These are accredited courses that are worked out by the institution along with collaborations with curriculum designers and government objectives. And those courses help students establish that foundational knowledge I mentioned. Now, another important development in this area I think is worth mentioning is that the fact that technology that I've been talking about is not just found in the information technology area. It is in all industries. And computing and information technology is really a mission critical component of businesses around the world. Whether you're in health or retail or manufacturing, people are working with information technology. They have information technology professionals bringing those capabilities to the fore, but everybody is working in that area. And it's very important that we have an opportunity for our students, our workforce of the future, to be equipped with an understanding of those capabilities. For example, I would highlight project management is a very fundamental skill across many disciplines. Clearly in engineering, architecture, design, what have you, project management. But we know in all of our workplaces, an understanding of project management is very important. We know that universities teach project management from principles right through to practice, so that when students leave university, they have a very good understanding of the principles and how to apply those principles in a project. What we have done is taken the Oracle technology that is used out there in industry to run projects, particularly large-scale projects, vertical construction, railways, and the like. We've taken that capability and provided it to academics so they can incorporate that into their degree diploma courses, whether that's undergraduate or postgraduate, and allow the students to be exposed to applications that they are going to see when they graduate. Now, they're not graduating as IT professionals, they're graduating as perhaps engineers, but they do need to see the sorts of tools that are being used out there in industry. So here you can see we're bridging the gap between academia and industry by exposing students to those things. Now, what's important is that Oracle Academy and Oracle has invested to be able to do that for the universities free of charge, helping them incorporate that curriculum into their degrees and also providing them with the platforms. So those students actually get exposed to the tools that they will see when they graduate.
So, is there like any success story or any example of how Oracle Academy's programs have, transformed teaching and learning outcomes in India, if you would like to share?
Yeah, look, we have, I guess, many success stories, and in fact, I would encourage people to go to our website, academy.oracle.com, and look at the range of member success stories that we have across the globe, from Romania to Afghanistan, from the Asia Pacific, India, right across Europe. There are many examples of how individual faculty are embracing these solutions. And it's important to say too that our academics that we work with are not confronted with a prescriptive approach. We're not forcing a curriculum or a learning program onto an academic. We're providing them with the tools and resources for them to be able to integrate that into their very specific course of study for their students. Now, a very good example of that, I think, is where we've been able to take an application that Oracle has in the market to do with low-code application development. It's called Apex, APEX. It's a capability that allows people to build applications without necessarily all the heavy-duty coding that software engineers of old would apply. Now, a compelling example of our work is that in India, as an example, we've been working with the India User Group for Apex, which is an independent body outside of Oracle. And they are all about helping people understand the value of that particular capability, the Apex tool. Now, they have brought together people who utilize Apex, and they also invite educators. And those educators have basically come from the Oracle Academy member institutions who have signed up to our program and have access to Apex. So those institutions have an opportunity to work very closely with professionals in that environment so they can really get an understanding of how Apex can be used in their teaching and learning programs. Now, we did this recently across India. I think it was in 5 or 6 cities, Pune, Cochin, Hyderabad. We had hundreds of faculty actually attend the event. I think there were across some 60 plus institutions, and they received that hands-on experience around that application. When they left the event, the level of commitment for them to take that back into their classroom was very high, and their satisfaction level was terrific. And that's a very practical example of how our local team in India are working with agencies and other organizations in concert with academia to really bring to life these technology capabilities and how they can be incorporated into a university curriculum.
Okay. Well, that was so inspiring, and thank you so much for sharing your invaluable insights with us today. So, as we conclude, could you share a powerful message for all the educators, students, and institutions who aspire to embrace technology and promote innovation and prepare the next generation for success in a rapidly changing world?
Yeah, yeah. Look, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the program and the sorts of things that industry is doing for higher education in India. We have invested a lot in this free education program. We've been doing it for over 25 years. And part of that investment is providing a field team that reaches those countries we talked about. And I'm very pleased to say that we have a significant footprint in India. And I believe the best way for educators who are busy, these educators are out there doing amazing things. We're asking them to reach out and consider what this program can do to illuminate what they're already doing in their classrooms and virtual courses. If they do work with industry and become part of that relationship, that community, then they may well be surprised with the amount of offerings that they can access from industry for free, and the support that they will obtain to help them map their courses to the latest technologies, to make their courses up to date, and at the end of the day, provide their students with some really relevant and up-to-date knowledge about what is happening out there in industry. We want those students, when they complete their degrees, to feel that they are well prepared. And going back to those students that I saw at the engineering college in Hyderabad, I want to feel that we have met that trust that they have given us as industry and academia. We have bridged that gap, and we've provided those students with a great launching pad for them to not only know about technology, but for them to be the future creators of technology.
True. Thank you. Thank you so much for your inspiring words. And it was a pleasure having you with us on this special segment of Elets Innovation Talk. So thank you once again for joining us.
My pleasure. And thank you very much. Goodbye from Australia.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of another episode of Elets Innovation Talk. A very big thanks to Mr. Damian Haas for his time and exceptional perspectives. So, his leadership at Oracle Academy and commitment to advancing computational education across Asia, Pacific, and Japan has both been enlightening and deeply motivating. So, to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us today. For more such insightful conversations with global thought leaders, stay connected with Elets Innovation Talk. Until next time, stay inspired and keep shaping the future of education. Thank you so much.